How many times we find ourselves lamenting a decision? We cannot sleep in the middle of the night. It's 4 a.m. right now. And we think about that path in life we didn't take. The branch in life that was opening up, that was growing, and we didn't take that branch. We didn't follow that path. And we lament what it could have been. Often it has to do with love, matters of the heart. The doubt we had to commit to somebody and how that relationship didn't develop any further. Sometimes it's about jobs and career choices, that the school we didn't go to, money. Oh, many people lament about money they lost, and that the bad investment where I lost $100,000. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's about losing loved ones, an illness that cuts a life short, or a sudden death that cuts a life extremely short. But when it comes to decisions we make, paths we don't take, branches we don't follow, let's imagine that every decision we make in life, when we have a choice, and we had chosen one branch instead of another, let's imagine that our life is growing as a tree. We are developing as a tree, and branches grow in every direction. And somehow we are conscious of one path. We see our life not as a tree. We see our life as a trunk and one branch that goes in one direction, and another branch, and another smaller branch, and another, until we die reaching for the sky. Imagine that tree as a tree with the trunk and a big branch and a smaller branch, but it's just one twisting stick that gets smaller, going to heaven. But we know trees are much more complex. Trees have branches going in every direction, sometimes multiple trunks. And that's our life. Our life is a tree. And we're conscious of just this very branch where I am now, this branch that has me awake in the middle of the night and recording. But there's another branch where my loved one and I are making a decision where we are together. And yes, we are happy on that branch where we stayed together. And I'm on this branch where I am alone. this branching of life into parallel universes can be true, not in a rational way, I grant you that, but we can believe in it. There was a French philosopher who posited as an entire philosophical way of thinking. In 2012, an artist took it further as part of Documenta, and I remember going to the orangery in Kassel, Germany, as part of Documenta. There, at the uppermost level of the orangery, there's a planetarium, and this artist had created a beautiful multi-video presentation on projecting on the dome of the planetarium, where he developed this belief, this philosophy of the parallel universes. And there was one parallel universe where the Paris Commune is successful, and it becomes the seed for humanity to live in a more harmonious way. Think of your life as a tree with so many branches that have developed over time in so many directions, and you're conscious of this branch you are on now. But other branches are still there. They are flourishing. Yes, at this very moment, you might be happier on that branch way back there where you took that path with that lover, and that small decision, that thought, that word you said or didn't say happened, and you're happy there, and you are less happy here now, but that is life. And maybe some of us take more and more challenges because we want to create all these happy branches in every direction. We want our tree to grow large and strong and provide much fruit and shade and strength. Because in this tree of life, where are you most needed? You are needed to attend the most challenging branch, the branch that has more difficulty reaching the sky, light. You're on this branch right now instead of that happy branch you left behind. You are on this one now because this is where you are needed. This is where you are growing. The most. You're choosing the most difficult road because it leads to the most magnificent place. So don't despair, don't lament the wrong choices. You have made your choices and they had taken you to this branch, but your life is a tree that goes in many, many directions. And there are wonderful, incredible moments, and sometimes because of decisions you find that you are not anymore on that branch where things were so good. And you are struggling with that on a different path that is challenging. But that is okay. That is where you are needed now. And your very presence here is making this branching universe a better one. This is where you are needed now. This is where you are making a difference now. And this is where you must enjoy growing up now. A tree hundreds of thousands of branches. And the more branches we create, the stronger the trees. We are together on so many branches. That time we draw one way, there's a strong branch where we are happy and together. That time where we doubted and didn't happen, the branch is flourishing, is supporting a nest now with birds. The branch where we got mad at each other and didn't talk for such a long time. We are together there. At that branch where we never saw each other again, the branch has continued growing one way, so we could be on this one now. Finding the strength to reach to the sky. seeing the corn full moon. Harvesting across the sky. A coda to the tree of life. I just was making an effort to find the moon, and it's very, very overcast. And I know there's a full moon out there, and I looked and looked, and there was this bright spot in the sky, in the overcast sky, and I watched, and in less than a minute the clouds opened up, and there was the full moon high in the sky. And it lasted a moment, a brief moment, and then the clouds covered up the moon again. But somehow this branch has allowed me to see the full moon that I had missed the last 2 nights. So I can turn around and see myself sleeping deeply on that other branch of life. And I could be lamenting that I am not that man who is sleeping deeply and looks rested. But I am this other man who is on this branch, and by being awake has spoken these words and has seen the full moon and gained so much peace and regained so much love. Coda number 2 to the tree of life. This tree we have created, this wonderful tree, is a tree created by our decisions. And we shouldn't lament the supposedly wrong decisions that took us away from supposedly happier paths. Now the tree is also shaped by outside events that sometimes lightning breaks a big branch of the tree. And maybe somehow there was a decision of ours that is related to that lightning, but let's not confuse them. That was lightning. It is not your fault. You are the tree, and the universe is much larger, and the signs of the universe are beyond our reach, no matter how hard I try to grasp them. Don't punish yourself. You couldn't have avoided the lighting. I've been there. My mother dying when she was just 40 years old. That was lighting. I have blamed myself so many times, less often now, by all the little decisions I made while she was dying in my arms. I wanted to be on those branches where she stay around longer. There's even one branch where we were meant to celebrate her birthday, her 82nd birthday this year. But that was lighting. And that was her tree of life. And if there was any choice, maybe there was hers. Sometimes lighting ends a tree. We see the burnt trunk. We think of a dead tree. But there's no such thing as a dead tree. There are only forests. And trees are an essential part, dead trees are an essential part of every forest. There's a microcosmos of life on a dead tree. And the tree herself doesn't recognize her as a tree. Some notes about the alternate universes, the tree of alternatives in life, the constellation of alternatives. The mailbox is full with letters asking questions about that, the fictitious mailbox. Like Johnny here says, well, this entire tree of alternate universes seems to me I love the burro poo. Well, this I understand what you're saying. It is we there are things that are facts, and there are things we may choose to believe. If you choose to believe something that doesn't harm others or yourself and improves the life of everybody, why not? I myself, I have different degrees of commitment and belief in this. Sometimes I feel like, yes, every decision I have made in life has span out a different branch of life. There's this one where I'm conscious of what I'm doing, and there are the other ones where I'm not that conscious, but they are existing, they are flourishing on their own. You may just think that every time you make a decision, that is the path you're not taking is somehow you're putting it out into the universe to let it flourish. It's not a choice of I'm taking the best path and neglecting the other one. And that's another set of questions. How do we choose this branching? How do we go in life? There's the poem that became a cliche about taking the path less traveled when reaching a fork on the road. And it's not necessarily that we choose each time the path of most happiness or less suffering. Maybe that depends on the person. Maybe that depends on our stage in life. I think in life I have taken paths that are more difficult, and maybe I was more needed in that branch of the tree where there were more challenges and more difficulties, and the other branches could be more on automatic cruise control. On cruise control. Maybe when I get older and older, I would choose the easier branches and more for enjoyment as opposed to being challenged. But there isn't any formula. Some people choose all their lives the most comfortable branch, the least challenging, and other people are people who embrace challenge. We all are needed with different approaches, and we may change our own approach again over our lifetimes, depending on circumstances. But the point is that we shouldn't suffer too much about the alternatives and let them flourish independently. And again, think that we are conscious of this one branch. This other question is how about jumping branches? Yeah, we sometimes in life make decisions about job changes, hometown changes, relationships, where it feels like we're jumping branches or somebody jump branches on us. There's a lot of value about loyalty and staying on a branch. I believe that in relationships we reach a point where loyalty becomes detached of any concrete attributes. I love you not because you're beautiful. I love you, you're beautiful, but I still love you no matter how beautiful you are. I love you, take care of yourself, but I love you no matter how healthy you are. It's the all in health and illness, in health and injury. Hannah Arendt, the beautiful philosopher Hannah Arendt, she spoke of loyalty being fidelity without any concrete attachment. And that precludes the changes of mind, because you see, when you have something concrete attached to it, then we change our mind. Very often people are in relationships like they are shopping around. I'm with you, but if I find something better, I may switch. And that may work at some point, but then there's a time where I find it myself that I commit. I just going to commit to this. It's not about changing my mind. There's a point where I'm not going to be changing my mind. Of course, this is general. There are situations we must jump branches anytime there's abuse, violation of trust. That's an entire other thing, the trust versus love. But yes, let the tree of life flourish. Look at the tree with many twisted branches going in different directions. Sometimes it's hard to tell which one is the main branch, and we are on our lives on one of those branches. And all the other ones have continued to grow. And maybe I'm just conscious of this branch right now, and this is where I am. And at some point I may branch out, or I may stay on this very branch. But don't regret not being on that other branch. We spend so much energy thinking about what could have been, what this should be. We daydream about going back and making the right decision. Look, if you could go back and make all the right decisions, your tree will be a very sicklish looking tree, and maybe it could be even dead. It will be a tree with just one branch that goes up and up and up and up and up and gets farther and higher, but there aren't any other branches. Perhaps our tree is the most prolific, the most exuberant when we have made lots of wrong choices.